Hey, how you doing? What was that? My captive just started screaming. Oh, this is out of focus. Let's see if I can get this to focus. How you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Here we go. We're looking at Conan the Barbarian, #1. For some reason, this doesn't look very good. Anybody have any ideas of how to fix this? But anyway, thanks a lot. You saw that trailer that was made for me by Phantasmagora Girl. You can see her a lot in the man cave. She shows up in the man cave every once in a while on Thursdays. So she just made that and sent it to me. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. So here we got Conan the Barbarian #1. And for whatever reason, there seems to be a lag, and it's driving me crazy. When it doesn't want to focus. All right. So we got 6 people watching. Let's address the chat. And let's see. Hal Deer already put the links to Heroic Tales #1 on Fund My Comic. It's still active right now. It's going to be active for quite a while. I got an exclusive cover that's going to only be available on Fund My Comic by Pat Broderick, a legendary comic book artist. And this is just driving me crazy. It's just off. How's that? Oh, are you kidding me? I just turned my phone emergency off. How annoying. Can't do anything right. Can't do anything right. Just talk to my teachers. You'll see that to be true. All right. That looks a little bit better at least. Yeah, maybe that's what I needed to do. Okay. All right. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. I got my Substack over here. You could join my Substack. I don't spam you. And to be honest, since the campaign launched, I've been kind of sending messages through the campaign page. So, Jeremy Burtz, how you doing, Jeremy? Good to see you. Pity Ma, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you too, Pity Ma. Oh, you know what? It just dawned on me. Pity Ma, you're Pitbull. Oh, geez. And now I feel silly for not. You see so many odd names on the internet that you forget that some of them actually have a meat. You see, you're a Pitbull. My brother and my sister-in-law adopted a pit bull, and it was a giant, scary-looking dog. But oh my God, it was the sweetest thing. You know, people would see the dog and step back, but his name was Legend, and I think he was abused because he was a couple of years old when they got him, and the dog was just scared and huddled in the corner. It was the saddest thing. But within a year, it like turned into a puppy again, and it was so friendly and sweet, you know. But it was a big dog, so my brother had you know, you don't know what you're getting when you're getting an older dog, you know. So my brother was strict with him, but he was good. He was like the only person I think that could have taken in that dog and had a successful life with them. The dog did end up passing from like leukemia or something like that, some horrible disease that took a long time. Hello, Hal Deer. Hello, Marcus. Hello, Nick Axe. Nick Axe, for those of you who do not know, Nick Axe is the penciler for Crom the Destroyer on RJ's The Fourth World. Just glorious. Just the guy pays attention to detail. He takes his time. And to me, Crom the Destroyer is gonna, you know, look as good as these Marvel Conan the Barbarian comics. Let's see who else we got here. Pity Ma. Look who's decided. Yeah, I know. I was having technical difficulties, which just seems to be the. That might as well be my my catchphrase. Welcome to John's Long Box. We're having technical difficulties. Why? Because I'm basically a Luddite. You know, I'm everything I learned about this channel, I've learned the hard way. I learned through accidents. People try to give me advice. People try to help me. And of course, my arrogance does not let me do it. So then I mess up. And then I go back and read the information or watch that video again that they sent me. And I'm like, okay, now I know why to do it that way. So yes. Hey, good morning, everybody. Pete, my friend Pete. Like I said, John's Long Box was pretty much born in his living room when we were playing board games one night. I was telling him the concept of the game, and he's like, concept of the channel. And he said, that's a good idea. Ray Haylock, Tugs web guy. Just hit the sack. It's midnight here, but oh, that's right. You're in Australia. Don't try to trick me. It's not midnight there. We all know the world is flat. You stop lying. You Australians, you keep trying to trick us that the world is round. You know, I could talk about a guy that I work with that is a flat earther, and it's just funny. It's just funny. Hey, Gray Wolf. Oh, here we go. Marcus is on the point. Crom the Destroyer. I was just talking about Nick Axe is doing the artwork. If I remember correctly, Jim O'Reilly is doing one chapter, and Crom the Destroyer. Yeah, he's drawing himself. It's a phenomenon. Nick Axe is drawing the second chapter. Australia doesn't. Yeah, I heard that conspiracy theory. I love conspiracy theories. I just heard another conspiracy theory that when Dave Chappelle went to Africa, he was swapped out with a clone. What do you guys feel about that? Discuss amongst yourself. The conspiracy theory that I'm starting, I'm patient zero for my conspiracy theory, is that the Doors were a psyop by the CIA to make America stupid. I love the Doors, but I was listening to I got my turntable out storage. I was playing one of my Doors albums, Soft Parade, and I was looking at the credits, and I realized, oh, the producer is one of the Rothschilds. So that immediately you see one of the Rothschilds, the conspiracy bulb goes off in your head. So I'm like, why are the Rothschilds getting involved with Jim Morrison? And I looked up. Jim Morrison's father was a naval admiral who was a commander of a aircraft carrier. That was the aircraft carrier that went to Vietnam under I think it was LBJ to escalate the Vietnamese War. And then Jim Morrison pops out. Do I have to draw the lines for you? Do I have to explain further? So there we go. There's my conspiracy theory. But Dave Chappelle is a clone. That's the newest one. Australia doesn't exist because some map or globe in the movie in the 80s didn't have it on. That's the one I heard. I don't know. A lot of conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories. Oh, this is a good one. What about Obama being a clone of an Egyptian pharaoh? Wow. That is awesome. That is worthy of a comic book story. Oh, wow. Nick Axe, you don't want to start down this road with the Doors or other media you love. It will reveal too much and you'll be left wondering what's media. Yeah. You're not wrong. Nick Axe and I were just talking before this, and I got to say, Nick is not wrong. My theory is that Nick Axe is the embodiment of a higher power sent down to this earth. He doesn't really exist. Well, he exists, but not in the same three-dimensional space as you or I. Hail, Jeremy. Oh, okay. You guys are talking amongst yourselves, which actually I actually enjoy that when the chat is talking to each other. It's so pleasant. I don't know. I'm trying not to let the nastiness and negativity and bickering and infighting of comic skate get to me. I'm doing successful for the most part, but I have to admit I have moments where I succumb to despair, and I'm like, well, is it all worth it? You know, trying to do this. All right, I'll leave this like this, and I'll move the comic around. All right. So I'm actually going to put this behind it because I think this board is getting a little dirty. I got to upgrade my space. There aren't many classic rock bands I dislike, but I cannot listen to the Doors. Yeah, the Doors are a weird band. It's funny because my older brother was into the Doors. Both my older brothers were into the Doors, and my two older sisters were into it. So I just grew up listening to them. So it just became like so prevalent, like light or oxygen. You know, the Doors were omnipresent from my birth practically, and just never knew what it was like not to listen to them. So I just accepted them. But then when I got into punk rock, I kind of put classic rock on the shelf and listened to all punk and exclusively punk. When I get into something, I get into it. I kind of put the blinders on and focus on that. You know, when I was into Marvel, it was only Marvel. You know, and I didn't get into DC. Then I expanded it. You know what I mean? So I was listening to punk rock, and then when I finally got back into the Doors, which was just recently, when I moved into this house 3 years ago, I got my turntable set up. I was able to play these records and it was when I was playing that Soft Parade album, and I'm like, this is a weird band. This is a weird band. Like the first Doors album has some edgy tunes and you know, they actually have a bass player. But after that, they have, you know, Ray Manzarek doing bass on the keyboards, and it just doesn't sound right. And then they got those, you know, that Ray Manzarek overpowering organ, and it just is a weird band. And then by the time you get to LA Woman, you're like, this is bizarre. And then to further the conspiracy, Jim Morrison dies, or does he? You know what I mean? Did the CIA tick him off? You know, is he captured? Did he finish his job and he was able to, you know, whatever? That's my conspiracy. It's starting out. The Doors made 2 other records, Other Voices and Full Circle, and they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible, which proves to me that it was Bruce Bosnick, the engineer, and Paul Rothchild, the producer, that are responsible for the success of the Doors. And if you don't believe me, listen to you know, if you go on Pandora now and you put Doors on, sooner or later you're going to get these raw tracks that they play that are unproduced, them rehearsing live, and they just sound like garbage. They just sound like absolute garbage. But yeah. So I think they were a band that was saved by the production value. And boy, I'm in the weeds. Oh, Nick Axe feeds into the despair. Nick Axe is the demigod of despair. He feeds on your emotions. As you despair, his beard fills in. And here comes Ray to try to gaslight us about this Australian time difference. It's a flat Earth. The wall of ice around Antarctica is protecting the lands where the Illuminati live, like Agartha and all of those magical places. Sorry, late. I was studying the Codex of Dragon Anatomy. Okay. For those of you who do not know, this is Jimmy Griffin. He's one of my players in my role-playing game that inspired Heroic Tales. His main character is a wizard, Dick Dante. Dick Dante is Jimmy always likes to do the role-playing. So when I rewrote the rules we brought my superhero game into a fantasy setting, and I didn't want to use Odin and Zeus and, you know, and the prepackaged fantasy. So I made up my own pantheon, and I made up my own rules for wizards. Like I don't like, this is really in the weeds, but I don't like the Harry Potter, like you're born a wizard and you have magic powers, and all you really do learn in school is how to harness the powers that you already have. Like, to me, being a wizard is a classic wizard is a skill. You study scrolls. The more intelligent you are, the better you are. Just like anybody could be a quarterback. I could be a quarterback, but I'm not a very good one. I'm not good enough to be in the NFL or anything like that. But there's nothing stopping me from going down to the park and organizing a team and being a quarterback. You know, so that's the way I look at magic. It's not a race. It's not a gene. It's not superpowers. It's a skill that anybody could learn. So I was explaining this to Jimmy, and Jimmy was like, how about I be a wizard, but the superhero game? So he made up this character, Richard Dante, Dick Dante, because we're doing the Stan Lee alliteration names. And I think it was like, I'm not even exaggerating. Jimmy will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like 5 years real time playing this character before he could actually cast a spell. That was him. You know, in the real world, you can't just say I'm going to be a wizard. You know, you need to seek out all of this stuff. It was a lot of fun. He plays a lot solo. Every once in a while, he'll play with the group, but this is like a solo character. And the story for Dick Dante is if I could make a 300-page graphic novel, it would be Jimmy's two characters, Red O'Grady and Dick Dante, and nobody's interested. Have you heard of the star killer theory? It's a bit morbid, but basically, if it is criminals killing media stars to make their work more valuable. Oh wow! Oh my God, that's dark, Zachtan. First off, hello, Zachtan. One of my favorite people. Definitely like him better than Nick Axe, but that is creepy. Oh my God. You know, this just hit me and sent me into like a dark pit of despair. Just like I read about a year or two ago, I read about wreckers. Has anybody ever heard about wreckers? Wreckers were, I don't know if there's any wreckers anymore, but at least probably not around here. But wreckers are people that would set up false lights on the coast so that ships would think it was a lighthouse, think it was safe, and then they would go towards the light and hit rocks, and the ship would wreck, because international law was whatever you find from a shipwreck is yours. So these people would, they would find the people, they would literally drown them and then take everything, so they were like land pirates called wreckers. And when I heard that, I was just like, there's no hope for humanity. Humanity is doomed, and if this just is hits me in that same vibe. The Jabba the Hutt Laps video is also, I got to check that out. This is the first time hearing about it. Great rock band that I never did. It's funny. Growing up, I had a friend, Joe, that was really into Thin Lizzy, and all I know is the song "The Boys Are Back in Town." And what do they have, like 12 records? Literally a band I know nothing about, and they have such a cult following. I really got to get into Thin Lizzy. The Door's strength was that Jim Morrison was charismatic. He had that great bass voice. He was, oddly handsome, if you ask me. I don't want to say classically handsome, but he had that like almost like a sinister hamster. He had a sinister hamster. Not a lot of people realize that Jim Morrison had a sinister hamster. Jim Morrison had like a sinister beauty about him, like and he had that great voice, and that the way he moved was cool. His lyrics were okay. I think we treat him like a poet based on the fact that he was so charismatic, but not a big Doors fan. I again, for me, there's three bands that I had no choice: the Doors, Led Zeppelin, and the Beatles. You grew up in my house with my older brothers and sisters. You liked those three bands, and I gotta say, I define your favorite band. And here's some put it in the chat what your favorite band is. I define the favorite band is, what is the one band that you just find yourself listening to? Like I got Pandora, and sometimes I skip, at work, but what is your default band? At various points in my life, I said my favorite band was this, but what band do you always come back to? And for me, it's the Beatles, Led Zeppelin. As much as I'm into punk these days, I'm exploring metal more than I've ever explored. But those are my two default bands. Those are like, whenever I'm getting tired of music, those are like the last known good. Harry Potter is more like a D&D sorcerer than a wizard. The sorcerer class came up after I stopped playing D&D, so I'll take your word for it. I stopped playing D&D at the second edition, although I bought a couple of books after that. I've never played them because I just like the art, and I like to data mine for cool ideas and stuff like that for my role-playing games. Did the Ninja Turtles fight a sinister hamster? No, but if they should, sinister hamster. I think that's going to be the name of my psychedelic album. Pete, you want to be in my band? Poor English towns relied on shipwreck salvage. Wreckers was a method of Okay, Stippling Vaughn here, dropping the knowledge. I just, just when my my outlook on humanity hit an all-time low, I heard about wreckers that just diminished my capacity even lower, and now I'm hearing about star killers. Oh wow! Imagine a comic book artist at the top of his game, some guy just buying all their artwork and then killing that artist, so his personal fortune becomes. Oh my God! There's a story in there. There's a story in there. Nickelback. Everybody laughs when they say, "I can't even name a Nickelback. I can't name a Nickelback. I can't name a Nickelback song." I was just explaining to Nick X. I'm in a bubble. I threw up a shield around myself. I cast a D&D spell around myself, and I have this semi-permeable force field around me at all times. I created it for my own will. And I choose what comes through this field. And it's really, really, it sounds weird, but it really helped me. People that annoy me are outside the bubble. Shows are outside, like Star Wars is outside the bubble. Can't come in. I don't care about Marvel and DC. They were right here, but I cast them out of my bubble. So, and it takes a lot of effort to penetrate this bubble that I created around myself. And I tell you, it's absolutely wonderful because I don't know what's going on. People in Comicsgate are fighting with people who may or may not be doesn't matter to me. I'm over here. I'm making comics. I'm talking about comics. Me and my wife are going out and doing stuff. Jimmy's coming over. We're playing role-playing games. We're setting up a big board game. It's going to be great. We're going to play Root next Saturday with a bunch of people. Jimmy, did you get the message? We need you Saturday to play Root. If Pete didn't move away to get away, Pete moved 2,000 miles away to Arizona to get away from me. Otherwise, he could play too. Stippling Vaughn, thanks for watching the chit last night. Somebody was watching the chit. Meanwhile, back at the Conan, I know. I pontificate. I have the main D&D 5e books, but I never played them. Okay, that brought me to the bottom of the chat. Better get while the getting is good. And yes, this is a chocolate chip cookie. Oh, pity ma. Yeah, the Frazetta Museum, that is only 2 hours away from me. So you must not be too far away from me. It's in Pennsylvania, if I remember correctly. Please let me know how it was. What's the protocols like? Does it cost anything? Do you need to make an appointment? Because this is something that for the past 2 years I've been telling my wife we're going to drive out to the Frazetta Museum, and I still have never done it. So please, private message me. You can message me at johnslongbox@yahoo.com. Hit me up on Twitter, send a chat. Just let me know how it is. That I really, really, no joke, I'm really excitedly anticipating hearing about this. 40 minutes for you. Okay. I think How You Remind Me is ironically good, but maybe it's just my okay. Oh, How You Remind Me is ironically okay. I think we talked about the $15 and open Thursday to Sunday. Okay, so I could just go. I could just drive up. I don't need an appointment. Like, am I expected to buy something? Is it for arty farty? Is it the whole ploy? Could you just go? The book Lighthouse Stevenson covers the history of wreckers. Oh my God, my stomach hurts when I just think about wreckers. You're saving up your money. You're trying to go to another continent to have a better life, and some asshole puts up a waves of flag, and now you're dead. It will be my first time. Yeah, I'm no joke. I'm eagerly awaiting this information. All right, we got 43 people, and I'm babbling. I usually talk filibuster a little bit till we get some people. I'm going to assume that everything looks good. Everything sounds good. Well, it looks good the best that I possibly can. So this is Conan the Barbarian, 15 cents. Number one, the first time. So this is Conan's first comic book appearance. If anybody knows of Conan in pre this, let me know. I would be interested to know if there was a Conan that appeared before this. But I think you had to deal with the licensing stuff, so I don't know. All right. So word on the street, and I'm sure Marcus could correct me if I'm wrong, but word on the street was that this was supposed to be for John Buscema. But John Buscema had many commitments. so he couldn't handle a new comic. So what happened was they found this new young guy, Barry Smith, who later became Barry Windsor Smith. I love that. Once you get famous, you get to add your middle name. Because at one point, Michael J. Fox was just Michael Fox, and then he became Michael J. Fox. I'm surprised Tom Cruise isn't like Tom Lodovico Cruz or something like by now. But anyway, I digress. Barry Windsor Smith. Barry Windsor Smith was a young British artist, came to America. And from the stories that I heard, like he was this handsome guy. He looked like Robert Plant. He looked like a rock star, at this point. Just this tall, skinny, cool looking, handsome, long haired, dirty blonde rock star, So just this charismatic guy. And he got the job, but he didn't have a place to live. And he didn't get paid yet. So the legend is that he drew this while sitting in park benches in Central Park and sleeping on park benches in Central Park, until he started getting paid. And he was told to draw like Jack Kirby. So, spoiler alert right now, I didn't particularly like this issue. This will be the second time I'm going through this. I bought this because at one point, maybe about 10 years ago, I was like, I got to get Conan. So I just bought this because I went into a comic store and I saw it for sale. And I thought it was a good price. So I just bought it. I had no interest in Conan. This was just like one of the first times I was like, I should buy this. This is important. I take that back. I do that all the time. I'm trying to lie to myself. I bought this because I thought it was important and it was a good deal. And it was sitting on my spinner rack. I don't want to move any cameras now, but I have the spinner rack over here. And it was just sitting there for years. Well, 2 years. And then finally, RJ from the Fourth Age started talking about Crom the Destroyer, his upcoming comic. How he takes a lot of inspiration from these John Buscema comics and Barry Windsor Smith art. So I said, you know what? I got to start reading it. I read issue number 1. I didn't particularly like it. It wasn't until issue 3 before I absolutely fell in love with the series. And now I'm collecting them. These first 10 issues are a pretty penny. So I think I'm up to issue 12. So it's slow going, but I'm enjoying it. I can't just buy every comic that I want at any time. So I kind of focus in on series. And I'm telling myself to slowly go through Conan. And then one of my apprentices at work had a magazine-sized comic box filled with Savage Sword of Conans that he sold me for like $150. And it's like, I'm going to say like 3/4 of the run of Savage Sword of Conan. So I got that going for me, which is nice. All right, so let's get into this comic. As usual, once I start getting into the comic, I will address the comments every page. So look at this cover. You can see the Jack Kirby influences. So this is Barry Windsor Smith doing the. Okay, there was a. Look at this. Look at this. Look, here's my hand. So this is going to be annoying. So we got Barry Windsor Smith doing the artwork, and you can see the Kirby crackle all over here. It's, I don't think he's particularly comfortable in his own skin. And I think he drew one Marvel comic before this. I think it was a Tales to Astonish, the revival series with Hank Pym Ant-Man. And here we have The Coming of Conan. The Coming of Conan. Welcome to the Hyborian Age. This is giving you some detail. Stan Lee editor, Roy Thomas writer, Barry Smith artist, Dan Atkins embellisher, that means the inker, and Sam Rosen letterer, based on the character created by Robert E. Howard. Copyright. What year is this? Oh, 1970. My blurry eyes thought that was 1979. I was like, no way. But here we go. Here's the splash page. Again, a splash page is a comic page with one panel, usually the first page, although that doesn't necessarily have to be the first page, and there could be many splash pages. The splash page just means one panel per page. So let's talk a little. Well, we all know Stan Lee. No need to talk about that. Let's talk about Roy Thomas. As far as I know, Roy Thomas was one of the first of the new hires at Marvel. New hire. So he was like a second generation. And as far as I know, he was one of the first writers to grow up a comic fan. Prior to Roy Thomas, these guys didn't have comics as a kid. They were they were the guys that created comics. They were the guys that invented comics. We're talking about the Jack Kirby's, the Stan Lees, the Will Eisners, the Joe Sinats, and these guys. These the first generation of comics. So I think Roy Thomas, and I'm sure you can find somebody else, but Roy Thomas was the first fanboy who grew up, followed his dream, and became a comic book writer. He was a school teacher, and when he joined the Marvel bullpen, Jack Kirby would call him kid, and it just bothered Roy Thomas. To this day, I think Roy Thomas has like bad feelings towards Jack Kirby. Kid. In my business, you're called kid. When you until you become an A journeyman, you're a kid. Doesn't matter your age. It's just a title that you get. So I when I started, I was older than most of my coworkers, but I was kid, because that's just the way you can take it personally, but whatever. So I think the fact that Roy Thomas took it personally meant Jack Kirby, who was an old school blue collar war veteran, oh, I found a way to get under his skin. Needle. If Roy Thomas had just, and I'm basing this on the way men behave, if Roy Thomas had just let it wash over him like water over a duck's back, I think the kid moniker would have gone away. Because let's face it, if you don't get a reaction, why do it? Tom L. Ron Hubbard Cruz. You're probably more right than wrong. Speaking of Buscema, someone beat him up recently, and the guy who attacked him is on. Really? Sal Buscema? Because if they dug up John Buscema and beat him up, then that should be world news. But somebody beat up Sal Buscema? Grey Wolf, can you send me a link to an article or anything? Devil Flyer, how you doing? I was just on Devil Flyer's channel a couple of nights ago. Shadowhawk Trails, happy hail Sunday. Yes, after this, I'm going to Cradle Convention over here in Garden City, right where Pete used to live. And supposedly Larry Hama and Wendy Peeney are there. I'm going to get in their face, hand them my Hello? Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Because you see the sound is on that. The sound on my phone is turned off. Tactic. Let's see. Love Conan. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, I'm back. And I wish I was better than ever. So this was the last cup. That's right. Buscema was supposed to do Conan, but the story I heard was that Buscema's page rate was too much and corporate was already paying. Oh, I gotcha. That makes more sense. Because Buscema was dying to do this. Buscema didn't like superhero comics that well. Okay, yeah. Hell, Jeremy. Of course, all the Marvel artists back in the day were told to draw it like Kirby or Ditko. Yes, yes. There's a famous story where John Buscema got the Silver Surfer, and it was a double-sized comic, and it was a big deal. So John Buscema was like, this is going to be my magnum opus. This is going to be my work. This is what people are going to remember me by. In issue 4, he poured it all into that. That's the issue where Silver Surfer fights Thor, and there's this big spread of Asgard, and he was just like, this is it. This is everything. People are going to remember. And he brings it to Stan Lee, and Stan Lee went, this doesn't look like Kirby. And John Buscema just went like, he didn't quit. He didn't phone it in, but it just dulled that fire, dulled that spark, dulled that. All he wanted was an attaboy. That's all he wanted was an attaboy. Wolf and Bear, love Conan comics. When you mentioned Buscema, it reminded me of the actor Steve Buscemi. Yeah, Steve Buscemi just got attacked recently. Randomly street, New York has a brand. New York has a brand. Being an electrician maintenance guy, it's called Sparky. Yeah, Sparky. Yeah, that's what the other trades. So the carpenters and the iron workers and the plumbers, they call us Sparkies when they don't know our name. Yeah. Some guys get mad, it's rather than hate, asshole. Check out Devil Flyer. I found my comic. Yes, he's active right now. So cool. Shadowhawk, I'm an electrician also. Oh, what happened? What happened is my computer's dying. My computer's dying. My friend Paul is setting me up with a new computer. I just been saving up for it. I was gonna have enough money to buy the computer in like a week, but it looks like I got to pull money out of savings. I try not to touch the savings, because that's what it's for. It's not for buying a computer. It's for fixing the roof if a tree goes through your roof. Smith drew. Okay, so he drew a bunch before this. Okay. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. Technical difficulties. Not on Conan Day. No sound. He'll figure it out when the stream is over. Pretty much. I'm muted. I think my wife would wish that. I go upstairs and I tell her about the streams and I tell her about my comic ideas and plans, and she's she's just like, that's nice to hear. Oh, the coffee's kicked in. It's okay, John. Only John likes to hear this. More true than not. Okay, so I'll get back to the other comments. I've been talking for 39 minutes. So let's look at the actual pages in this comic. So again, if you were to judge this series by issue number 1, I think you'd be like, why is everybody raving about this? It's good. It's good. But to me, this is like about 2 years from now, 3 years from now, they're going to have the Atlas Seabird comics. It was, like Morlock 2000 and Iron Jaw. These are about this comic to me is about the same quality as that. I mean, the storytelling is nice. We got Barbarians over here. We got Conan, fighting with everybody. Conan the Cimmerian. And what is this? This is based on, I forget which story, The Coming of Conan. It's based on Roy Thomas is basically lifting a novel and adapting it for comics. Look at that. No great shakes, but it's Kirby inspired. That bearded Azir besieged by a trio of yapping foes. It's just standard. I love that panel though. That panel is just so cool. But look at that. No feet. Barry Windsor Smith was never given the Rob Liefeld treatment. Now I'm curious. Any feet? Can anybody see any feet? Let me know when the first foot shows up. And then Snoopy strikes again. I am big on showing the ads and the letter pages and everything because that's part of comic book culture. You don't see this when you when you slab. You don't see these in the reprints. And if anybody's been following the Two Beards One comic series that I do with Kelsey Shannon, I get a kick because Kelsey kicks me. Please help me. I'm abused by Kelsey Shannon. No, I get a kick when Kelsey stops and looks at the ad and gets all excited because he doesn't see it because he's reading the reprints. He's checking out these ads for the first time in the letters pages. And in that Jim Starlin Warlock series, we saw a lot of like Jerry Conway, Paul Dini, guys who grew up to become comic book legends, started out as letter hacks. So I'll finish this page and then I'll address the chat. I just feel bad that my computer died. That's not a good sign. At least I don't smell smoke. So we got Conan over here. And they put a helmet on him, I believe, and I'm sure Marcus could confirm or deny this. They put the helmet on him so you'd know which one was Conan. Back in 1970, I think the Conan mania started with the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like at this point, Conan was popular, but in a small circle. Like Nick explains to me, the top of funnel. There wasn't a lot. I mean, Conan, just like I don't think there was a lot of Lovecraft fans, but the ones that were fanatical. So, he didn't have the iconic look or anything like that. So notice he's the only one with the helmet. Oh, I see a foot. We just got, again, look at that background. You don't need no stinking backgrounds. And this is also, look at that. You could really see the limitations in the art. And if anybody has seen Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X series that was in Marvel Comics Presents, you'll see the progress was outstanding. The first comic that I can remember Barry Windsor Smith drawing was I forget what it was, but it was the X-Men with Storm and the Mohawk and Forge in the background, and it was a double-sized issue. It was an anniversary. Oh, it was glorious. And I remember thinking, who is this guy? Like it's the first time I ever heard of Barry Windsor Smith, but the artwork just immediately made me think that he was an important artist. Okay, I'm going to adjust the. Okay, it's funny that I got more comments while I was off than when I was on. Smith drew all those earlier comics in a Super Kirby style more than Conan. Yeah, he didn't grow into his own style. Now, I'm sure he was a new hire, so I'm sure he was directed to ape Kirby rather than show his own style. But as he went forward, his style became ubiquitous with Conan, to the point where people talk about the Windsor Smith Kirby, the Windsor Smith Conan books with reverence, and as they should. Again, I'm up to issue 12, and it gets better and better and better. Weapon X is one of my favorite runs by Barry Windsor Smith. So good. Yeah, so good. He did a Machine Man series. Oh, there we go. Just popped up just as I said, his Machine Man. The art, I wasn't too taken back with the story. The story was okay. Somebody finds Machine Man in the future, and everybody's addicted to video games. I just realized that talking about now, everybody's easily led because everybody's just playing video games that are beamed directly into your eyes, and the artwork is phenomenal, but the story was okay. But now I realize, as I'm saying it out loud, it's pretty prophetic, which is one of the things I love about comics. Is you take any idea, and I'll show you a comic that did it 20 years earlier. So here we got, this warrior tree. They're striking a deal, and again, check out the backgrounds. They're pretty sparse. Again, this is a homeless person drawing this on a park bench in Central Park. Flew all the way from England. Didn't have enough money. Just picture Robert Plant sitting on a park bench with a pigeon on his shoulder drawing the comics. It's probably not too far from the way it looked. Just, what is the story? Who cares? The story is adequate. It's warriors, because they're not soldiers. There's a difference between a soldier and a warrior. A soldier they fight as a unit, as a group. Like the Greek and the Spartans were soldiers. The Spartans, they lined up, they trained, they used their strength in numbers. Where warriors were the Mycenaean Greeks, the Greeks that the classic age Greeks didn't really understand, like Hercules and Achilles. When Homer, whether or not there really was a Homer, when he talks about the Iliad and the Odyssey, he the tactics and skills of the Mycenaean Greeks is really torn out the window, and he just focuses on the individual efforts. So when Menelaus is in battle, he's just running around stabbing this guy and that guy. There's no speaking of formations and battle tactics. So those were warriors, individuals just fighting against individuals, soldiers, and that's what this kind of comic is. This is Barbarian. So these warriors, they grow in respect, combat of arms together, and forming an alliance to take out an even bigger menace. Wolf wearing this werewolf outfit. We got some more. At the Marvel checklist. I can't read it on the screen. So we got Fantastic Four 103. Oh, Fantastic Four 103 is the first issue of the Fantastic Four, not by the Lee Kirby team. This was I think who was the first? Was it Roy Thomas? Was it Roy Thomas who took over the Fantastic Four? Because Fantastic Four had one of the longest runs in comic book history of 102 uninterrupted issues by Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. And then I think it was surpassed only by Dave Sim on Cerebus. And now Eric Larson is destroying his career and reputation by trying to beat the longest run. He wants to get Savage Dragon to 301 to have the longest continuous run on comics. Why? Who knows? I mean, how many issues does Savage Dragon sell these days? Like, Savage Dragon is probably selling more than Heroic Tales, my comic. And this is a guy who was a legend. Like, I do think that Eric Larson suffers from some sort of mental illness, autism, Asperger's. I don't know what it was, because this guy had the world. He had the world was his oyster, and he threw it away by making. Savage Dragon was awesome. Everybody loved Savage, and it just the art went down, the writing went down. It wallows in like multiple Earths and various copies of. He made a lot of superhero characters as a kid, and he shoehorned them in the comic, and then to make it devolved into like kiddie porn. I'm not even joking. I wish I was, and it's kind of like my personal car crash that I'm just watching. It's a slow motion car wreck happening. And I think it's up to 270, and I just have to see if he makes it. If he, I every month I read it, I go, this is my last issue, and every month I order another issue. I don't know. He does. Thankfully, he got that porn out of his system, and I would not. If I had children, I would not let Eric Larson watch my children on television. So here we go. That's what we got: Spider-Man, Silver Surfer, Avengers, Thor, Captain America. Look at all these great comics. But again, I'm spending too much time on this. You got prizes. McFarlane, somebody said, not somebody, Shadowhawk says McFarlane owns the record at this point. No, because McFarlane isn't the artist on Spawn. I'm talking about a continued run of the same artist, the same writer. So 102 issues. Stan Lee wrote it. Yes, Spawn is closing on 375 issues, but Todd McFarlane wasn't the artist on all 375 issues. I think Todd McFarlane left the art. It's Greg Capullo, it's other people. So what I'm talking about, the uninterrupted. So Fantastic Four for 102 issues, it was only written by Stan Lee and only drawn by Jack Kirby for 102 issues. Dave Sim's Cerebus, for 300 issues, it was only written by Dave Sim and only drawn by Dave Sim, and then later Gerhardt helped him with the backgrounds. And Eric Larson is the only writer on Savage Dragon and the only artist on Savage Dragon. So it's an unbroken run. Like Thor has 1,000 issues. Fantastic Four has 1,000 issues. Superman holds the record of what the longest continuing published comic. Even though they renumbered it. But it's not a continued run. A run meaning the same creative team. Yeah. Yeah, but Spawn is on fire lately. I think I stopped collecting Spawn around issue 60 or so. I you know, it just lost it. So here we go. You know, they're planning on robbing. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Tell me that's not Kirby Crackle. That's kind of a bizarre panel. You know, look. Here they are, the thieves. I whenever I talk about Conan, I cannot help but talk Dungeons and Dragons. Like Conan is a warrior thief. You know, that's his class. You know, and Conan also breaks the D&D stereotypes of armor and everything like that. Like according to D&D, Conan wouldn't last because his armor class would be 10. You know what I mean? If to those of you know what I'm talking about, 10 is the worst armor class. The lower the number, the better the armor class. D&D was the first, but it was not the best. My preferred system is villains, vigilantes, V&V, but it's also not the best. I'm toying with the idea that if my comic is successful and you know I got 10 issues under my belt of maybe like making my own role-playing game, which would be heavily lifted from V&V, let's be honest. So here we go. Hot chick with her creepy dad. Charles Xavier over here is talking about the magic Guga over here, the magic MacGuffin. Come on, focus. You know, this sexy hippie chick, Conan. Look at that. You can see the limitations in the artwork over here. Again, this is why I wasn't. This isn't my. So far, this is my least favorite issue of Conan. You know, if I was, you know, a kid in 1970 and I picked this up, I probably wouldn't have gotten the second issue. I think the writing is not that great. You know, Roy Thomas is adapting work that's not his own, and Barry Windsor Smith, again, I don't know if you know, doing the Kirby X style is limiting him, or is it, you know, this is all he was capable of at the time. But I'm telling you, by issue 3, I was full on in. You know, this is like, what do they call it? Exponentially creative. But look, you know, I mean, that's a million times better than I could. Look at the backgrounds. Typical comic book. We got green. Why is it green? They're in a cave. Why is it green? You know, because it's green. Conan over here. Nick, don't forget to draw the helmet. Don't forget to draw the helmet, Nick. And then we got these harpies. That is an interesting panel, though. I can't argue with the composition. You know, that knee over there. Again, avoiding feet. As far as I know, I only saw 1 foot. You know, look at that. Harpies over here. I don't know about you, but I could see John Buscema influence in this panel. Holy moly, look at that. Even Sal Buscema. Look at that. You know, fighting off these harpy things. And you can see the story that they're trying to rob that place, that bald wizard with the sexy daughter. There's always a sexy daughter. In a Conan story, there's always a sexy daughter. You know, so now he's fighting these harpies. This harpy's going to eat him. Olav, he's dead. And now Black Talons twitch for my throat. Be you demon or divine, heaven sent or spawned in hell. What is the rest of that? Olav shall be avenged. There we go. And then I love these half panels. This it irks me. Oh no, it tasks me, right? Isn't that what Khan says? I've been saying the wrong thing for a while now. These half pages, oh my God. I just hate that. But look at that panel. That's pretty cool. Look at the wings. Am I crazy in thinking? Yes, I am crazy. And I'm thinking I could see a lot of like Sal Buscema in especially the wings. Look at that. So now Conan is being dragged off. You know, he's dropping his sword. He's fighting tooth and claw. His helmet's not coming off. Why? Because he needs the helmet so that we can distinguish who Conan is. He doesn't have the he's not iconic yet. Here's another question. What does it mean to be iconic? If something is iconic, what does that mean to you? To me, once iconic means like set in stone. Like to me, Spider-Man's costume, Superman's costume is iconic, meaning this is what the majority of people think of. So you can't change it. I hate when they change Spider-Man's costume. I hate when they change Superman's costume. The Fantastic Four, that's iconic. It's set, so leave it alone. It is what it is. It's finished. That's what it means to be iconic. And I'm curious what people think about this. I'm going back to the chat. Okay, we can hear. Smith drew those earlier Conan comics in a Super Kirby style. Yeah, I agree. Weapon X. Okay, I saw this. Machine Man was also killer. Okay. Here's where you're Old Dirty Fatty. Thanks for setting the record straight. Okay, yeah. I'm not reprimanding anybody. I'm just. Oh, now I got to sneeze. Oh man. I just started reading Spawn on my Color e-reader. Oh, okay. So you're reading the digital comics. I like Palladium Model SD. I don't know what that is. Odin. Are you talking about role-playing games? What does SDC and MDC stand for? So it's not just Liefeld doing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Liefeld is the number one offender of not drawing feet. But I'm not seeing too many feet over here. I think a lot of artists cleverly avoid drawing feet. Like I'm an artist. But when I was a kid drawing comic books with my friends, feet were always off panel. Feet were always off. If it's not good enough for Barry Windsor, yeah. If it's good enough for Barry Windsor Smith, yeah, right. Nope, nobody argues with Barry. I always forget to draw the helmet and have to go back, erase these wicked locks I drew, and then draw the head cap. Yep. Nick was telling me that story that he forgot to draw the helmet. He was done, about to hand in the page, and he's like, forgot the helmet. So, all right. So here we got Conan falls from a great height, and true superhero fashion. Rather than kill him, he's carried. Rather than kill him, which is easy. It's easy to just kill him. He's laying on the ground unconscious. Just stab him, leave him to rot, let the harpies feed him. No, they drag him, carry him, throw him in a cage full of hay, and sexy chick checks him out. Look at that. Tell me that is like a perfect. If Jack Kirby and John Buscema merged like an amoeba to draw one woman's face, that is perfect, right? That is Medusa, that is Sue Storm, that is Alicia Masters, all of those early Marvel women just put into one face. This is just perfect as far as Barry aping the style of the two big Marvel guys at this point. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, Buscema is a big. He's doing the Silver Surfer at this point. And did Jack Kirby leave? Is Jack Kirby at DC at this point? Look at that. I mean, just an interesting panel. No faces, So now he's talking about the Star Stones, sacred jewel that fell like rain from on high. So this meteorite fell. And this meteorite, I'm not sure because they keep it ambiguous. It might be like technology from another planet. And before you call me crazy, issue number 3 is about a space alien. He looks like an elephant. He's trapped in the tower, and it's a space alien that is captured and like abused for its abilities and psionic powers. And he talks about spaceships and fleets of space that move from one galaxy and cosmos to like very Lovecraftian. I know like people get tired of that word, but and a lot of people, I know RJ said it's his least favorite Conan story because it involves, so far to me, that's my favorite Conan story. It shows you the difference between RJ and me. Look at that, looking like Baldur the Brave. So he's talking about, behold, Valusia, mightiest mainland kingdom in the days before Atlantis sunk. Even I never dwelt that far. So this stone allows him to see into the past. It's like a palantir from the Lord of the Rings. And he's observing the destruction of Atlantis, and he sees King Kull. King Kull is interesting because King Kull is obviously another Howard creation. King Kull was first and then Conan. And King Kull is an ancestor of Conan, and Solomon Kane is an ancestor of King Kull and Conan. So so he's looking back and sees everything, seeing the battles and getting information about the early days of humanity. Oh, look at that maniac face. You know, he's the Sumerian. I must see more. Yet the Sumerian can have no future, for he is offered up. Oh, that's right. That's why they saved him. They're going to use him for the ceremony of transferal. They get, looking at the ancient, the Sphinx and the pyramids. Now, my biggest problem with Conan is the playfulness of time. Like, it's supposed to be set like before the Ice Age, and Kull is set like a million years before that. Like there's dinosaurs in Kull that, like, even though most of the dinosaurs are extinct, there are still a few holdouts. So Kull is infinitely old. Conan is like 40,000 years old or something like that. But yet there's sphinxes and pyramids, and there's a Roman Empire-esque empire, and then there's British, you know what I mean? So it's very playful with time, and that stuff bothers me to no end. So I can't get into Conan as much as I could get into like other fantasy. Like Lord of the Rings is to me, it's the standard, and it's the greatest, because you can't argue with it. It's all made up. It's all created whole cloth. And then supposedly it's inserted into our world. You know what I mean? But it's another universe. It's different. Whereas Conan, it's supposed to be our world, but it's not, because the anachronisms and the playful that just drives me nuts. And he obviously is a spaceship. So they're seeing that the ancient Atlanteans were able to travel into space. Conan is rejected all this. He's busted out. He's going to destroy this object. Just look at this Kirby Crackle. Yeah, this woman, it turns out she's like, what, she's wearing like a space suit. It's really bizarre. The harpies are coming in. This guy's using, look at this panel. Oh, there's a foot. 2 feet, 1 page. Did anybody watch that video? 2 feet, 1 page. This woman is, I still don't comprehend, but you shall. In a few fleeting what are you raving about? Crom's devils! What vile sorcery is this? I'll tell you what vile sorcery it is. Simon and Garfunkel. Look at this 3 Dog Night. The Rascals. Harlow Guthrie. Look at all these 3 hit records. Let It Bleed, Zeppelin 2, Herb Alpert, and the Tijuana Brass. I'll tell you a funny story about them really quickly. When I was in school in Albuquerque, I was working in a bar at nights, and everybody's drunk in the bar at nights, obviously, and I would be cleaning out everything, and every once in a while I'd come out to anybody. I was the grill cook. Anybody want anything before I shut down the grill? Like, as I shut down a device, I would come outside and tell people, like, anybody want fries? I'm shutting down the fryer. Anybody want a steak? I'm turning off the grill. Anybody want a burger? Blah, blah, blah. So I would always come out and talk to people. And Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, the Tijuana Taxi was playing. That song. Everybody knows that song. So I told the guy, oh, wow, listen, my father's in this band. And the guy's like, really? I said, yeah. My father, when he was young, he was in this band. He used to travel with Herb Alpert. Got great story. He played the horn. And he's like, yeah. I go, listen, he's coming up. And I had like the attention of everybody at the bar. Everybody's listening. Here comes my father. And then, there's my dad. That was my dad. And they were like, you is, throwing napkins at me. But I had the whole bar listening for my dad. It was just funny. Let's address the comments. Drawing feet sucks, and there's people who suck feet. Palladium RPGs like I played Rifts, structural damage capacity, and mega. Oh, okay, yeah. I got all the Rift books. I still have them. They're upstairs. I keep saying that I'm going to make a video of my book library upstairs, which also has all my role-playing stuff. So, but that room is a mess. I think every house has that one room where I don't know what to deal with this, into the guest room. I don't know what to do with this, into the guest room. The guest room is just 4 walls of just bookshelves with a futon in the middle. When Nick comes to visit, he will sleep under the futon, and I'll pull it out so I can't see his disgusting face. But I got there, and I like the mega damage. Like it does, if you can only take mega damage, the regular damage doesn't affect you at all. You need mega guns to mega damage inflicting guns to harm anybody with like mega arm. I thought that was fascinating, and I was trying to incorporate that for a little while in my Villains Vigilantes game, but I gave up. Hands are difficult too, but way harder. Yeah, but you need to draw hands. It's you can't throw punches and stuff like that or hold swords if you're hiding the hands. The Tower of the Elephant was great. I like the Savage Sword telling more than the Barbarian. Oh, cool. Because I didn't start reading Savage Sword of Conan yet. So good. Yeah, the Tower of the Elephant. That so far that's my favorite Conan story. Was used for mechs. Like yes, that's exactly what it was. Like if you weren't mega damage resistant and you got hit by a mega weapon, you were just toast. Doesn't matter how many regular hit points you have. But mechs, you couldn't just walk up to a mech and start stabbing it with a dagger. You had to do mega damage. It was like they were invulnerable to non-mega damage weapons. Didn't it include dragons? Well, Rifts was part of GURPS, generic role-playing system. So you could play GURPS with Rifts. You could play GURPS with, fantasy. You could play GURPS with superheroes. You could play GURPS with World War II. So you bought like a rule book to explain the generic rules, and then you could buy like the setting books, for lack of a better term. Yeah, Conan did not write Howard in Order. Howard did not write Conan in Order. The very first Conan story, because I bought this big honkin' leather-bound edition of the complete Conan. And the first story is Conan is a king. He's old and he's reflecting back on his life. Why can't I think of the name of that story? But so the first story of Conan is almost the last story, and then he just jumps around. So much hate. There is so much hate. I was gonna say I am love, but then I realized Ethan Van Sciver is love, and I don't have that much. I'm just like, I'm like. That's all I am. I think they added mega damage to Rifts as a weaponry and vehicles becoming quite Yeah, okay. I'll take your word for it. I don't know enough about Rifts. What can men do against such reckless hate? Isn't that the eternal question? Is Nick allowed to cross the border? Yes, he's allowed to cross the border as long as he stays 500 feet away from a school. Yes. Reckless Hate is my middle name. So when you Shadowhawk Tales, when you become famous as an artist, you could add Shadowhawk Reckless Hate Hawk Tales. My country refuses my departure, and the U.S. refuses. Well, all kidding aside, didn't Canada just make it $25,000 to leave the country? You're trapped in Canada. So which begs the question, can't you just say you're going on vacation and never come back? Damn, Nick, just for being a comic fan. He's also a sorcerer and demigod. So the daughter is really one of these harpies. No big surprise there. And then she disappears. And as of yet, I don't think she came back. And look at this. Look at this big page close up. Just bizarre, but it works. And then he just walks away. You could hear the Hulk music with the loofering note as the walk away music in sadness. And are you too skinny? That's me. I'm too skinny. I always think it would be funny to make like a superhero character based on like he just sent away and got all of the items and all of these ads. So he got a joy buzzer, he got X-ray goggles, but they actually worked. I think that would just be the fun. He got the He-Man body. A hypno coin. I just think that would be so funny. So again, this is the kind of stuff that you don't see in the reprints. Is the Marvel bulletins. This is in-house news, and this is stuff. This was just, I skipped over this as a kid. I didn't read any of these. Now, as I reread old comics or buy old comics for the first time, I read these. And again, I get maudlin and sentimental when I talk about this, but this is Stan. I read these in Stan's voice. A lot of these would horrify modern modern audiences, stuff that Stan says. Because I just hate when like the SJWs or whatever progressives, they co-opt people. They will always bleed. Like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Stan Lee was an individualist. He didn't believe this collectivism that SJW do. And here's the Hyborian page. A little word from the editor, and then this is just explaining who Robert Howard was, who Conan was, and then a map. So this is supposed to be Europe before, like the Ice Age deformed it, and and what a coincidence. See, this is the kind of stuff that I just hate. It coincides almost like perfectly with like modern Europe. So there's a Roman Empire, there's like a Nubian Empire. There's like Aquilonia is Rome, but there's a French and a Proto-Germans and stuff like that. Like, to my way of thinking, it should have just made up whole cloth, and then the Ice Age just destroyed all traces of those civilizations, and it had to be reborn. Like the ancient Greeks can't read Linear B. The Mycenaean, we really don't know what it is. We haven't got the Rosetta Stone to translate the original Greek. The original Greeks, or the Greeks of the golden age of what's that, the Theosophy that Hesiod wrote. That's a lot of like deduction and speculation rather than concrete evidence. So let's it's the sorcery. John's correct. Yes, Nick is a sorcerer. Who he taps into, I don't know. I think he taps into the power of Canada, because a lot of his spells involve maple syrup. So Canada is the new East Germany. That's what I read. I don't know if it's true or not, because I don't believe in anything that I read. I'm the truest skeptic you've ever met. The shift from as I eat a chocolate chip cookie, Odin Dansko observes, "Are you too skinny? Seems antiquated." Yes. I wish I was as fat as I thought I was in high school. I look at my high school pictures and I'm like a young, fit guy for today, but everybody else was skinnier. Oh my God. Do you have any spells to make me rich, Nick? Let me know what I can. Yeah, there you go. Send Nick a cashier's check for $500. He will let you know what address, and he will cast a spell to make himself rich, or at least $500 richer. I think you do see all the ads in the facsimile. Oh, the facsimile editions. Good point. So let's talk for a second about a facsimile edition. A facsimile edition is when they literally just reprint this. The only thing different would be the price. So it is this comic book reprinted perfect, with a better paper. And my biggest problem with the facsimile issues is the color always looks off. And I always describe it as artificial, which I guess is a weird way to describe it, because it's artificial, but it just doesn't look right. I think the newsprint does something with the color, and you can see the differences again with the Two Beards One comic that I did with Kelsey Shannon. He was holding up panels from the reprinted collected graphic novels or trade paperbacks, and I was showing the original newsprint. And the reprinted editions, I think, had less detail due to the color. I'm sure Nick could explain it better, maybe even Marcus, because they're both artists. I'm not an artist. I got to sell mine first. I was hoping to speed up the process. Okay. Sell John's comic collection. There you go. There you go. I'm a Charlton Heston American. You could get my comics from my cold dead hands. You could get them, but it's probably going to get you a couple of bullet wounds. I have the I have the facsimile. It looked horrible. Please give us some details. How in what way? The color, because the only bad thing about this was, again, I don't know if it was like rookie Barry Smith, who did not evolve into his final form of Barry Windsor Smith, or was it editorial decree? Was it the fact that he was drawing this in the rain on a park bench in Central Park. So what made it look? The reprinting was terrible. They can't get that cheap newsprint anymore. Yes. The only person is Peter Samedi of Alterna Comics. He has like a trade secret. When I first started doing Heroic Tales, I reached out to him, and he won't tell. He won't give up the secret. But he does say that you have to have a large print run to make it affordable. So he even said, even if I was to get it printed for you and keep all the secrets, it would be, I would probably have to print way too much. So guys, get the word out. Let's get Heroic Tales big numbers, so I can afford to get it printed over with Pete Samedi. Really, the color on magazine paper instead of it. Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Odin, 100%. And by the way, I just got Odin. I just got your biography over here, so I will be reading all about your life. This is a great series. I'll probably be showcasing one of these. I absolutely love that series. I'll talk about that later in another video. Barry Windsor's at his Kirby copying best. I agree. I know the secret. Nick knows many secrets. Pete's newsprint isn't quite the same. Yes. Pete will admit that. Everybody will admit that, but it is the closest. It is the closest. Yes. Geez, when was the last time anybody? We got 59 people watching. When was the last time any of you guys got a newspaper? Rock and Roll Ninja had that old newsprint feel like Alterna. Yes, even that was different paper, but yes, yeah, like Marcus said, it's different, but it's close. This is gonna sound stupid, but just like McDonald's, I get a McDonald's cheeseburger. I like the basic McDonald's cheeseburger. It just doesn't taste the same as it used to. Same with White Castle. Everything is different. I don't know if it's because we, as people grow older, our taste buds change. Are they using different ingredients, cooking things different, cheaper foodstuffs? Maybe they're harvesting different worms to grind up into meat patties over at McDonald's. Please check out Heroic Tales #1 on Fund My Comic page here. Yes, I would, and I will say that I had a near catastrophic problem, partly of my own creation, partly of the whimsical nature of the gods. And I spent hours on the phone with Luke Stone yesterday, and he fixed it. I have nothing but respect for the guy. Nobody else will do that. Fund My Comic, to me, has the ultimate customer service. I don't want to get to the nature of the problem because it just explained how stupid I am, as if you couldn't tell. I'm like Gru the Wanderer. You know how Gru the Wanderer steps on a boat and the boat sinks? I touch anything electronic and it gets destroyed, as you can see by my computer dying. But Kickstarter and Indiegogo will not have the support and customer service as you will get at Fund My Comic. Pete Samedi secret is he's making like those insects. He chews on the wood and then spits it out into like a paste. Yeah, you might be right. I don't think he's entirely human. I think the hair, the hat, and the glasses. If you ever read The Whisperer in Darkness by H.P. Lovecraft, it's exactly the same disguise that the space aliens used to pass themselves off as the old farmer. You might be right, Shadowhawk. I never thought about that. And he's into cryptids. Again, I love good conspiracy. That's the new conspiracy theory, everybody. New conspiracy theory being launched. Pete Samedi is an alien in disguise. Hail chat. Hail Torchbearer. How you doing? I can't wait to read Rock and Roll Ninja. I backed the second. Oh, good for you. I really liked it. I really did enjoy it. You know me. I don't talk about comics that I don't like. I just got no time for it. I just got Fiendish. It's been on my easel. I was going to read it yesterday, but yesterday I just had so many problems that I had to take care of. And I just got Inglorious Rex. Heavy as the Crown. And the monster, so I just got these and I posted. I like to post when I get Comicsgate indie comics, crowdfunded comics. I like to post that they hear and let everybody know that Shane Davis and Renee, I always say Renee, but it's Rini. Rini, like anybody who crowdfunds a comic, I like to post on Twitter to let everybody know these guys are delivering. The comics came fine. They did everything right. I just think it's good for morale. And then somebody asked me, "Are you going to make a video on Inglorious Rex?" And I said, "Let me read it first." I'm not going to be accused of what's your favorite part. I actually read the comics. And Rock and Roll Ninja, I loved. I thought it was fun. It was kind of personal because it was like proto punk in New York. So, I kind of remember all that stuff. And Matt Bauer, he's younger than me, but he was part of that punk rock scene in New York, and the Bowery and everything. So I really enjoyed it. Part of me wonders now, Haldir, when you read it, just let me know if you liked it as much as I do. I wonder if it's just because, I was in the right place at the right time. I remember the first Image books. They were on a modernized newsprint, but I really liked it. And I went to print books on Image books were the first time that I started to notice that the color looked a bit off. And I just shrugged it off as, I'm an old timer, because Image, correct me if I'm wrong, but Marcus would probably know, Image were always digitally computerized colored. I don't think they were ever hand colored. So the digital computerized coloring always looked different than me. Different than newsprint. What is wrong with me? Maybe it's not my computer. Maybe I'm having the breakdown, because for the past 2 days I can't pronounce words. One of the guys at work collapsed and had a pulmonary embolism. Got taken to the hospital 2 weeks ago. Guy got taken to the hospital in an ambulance. I actually went with him. He crushed his thumb off. He lost his thumb. He lost his thumb from here up, and then poor Jason, pulmonary ill. He's fine. He was on a ventilator, and he's fine. He's home. He survived, but geez. So I don't know. Work sucks. Buy my comic, guys. Matt is something else. I like him, but so controversial. Yes, I called him the Rorschach of Comicsgate, meaning he has principles and he will not compromise his principles. I respect the man because of that. I told him that to his face if being on the same panel on the thing is face to face. But I told him that, the Rorschach rubbed people the wrong way, but Rorschach was never wrong. Sometimes the truth tellers are hated, And it's funny because I messaged him after that. Are we cool? He goes, yeah, we're cool. He goes, believe me, John, if we weren't cool, you'd know. I think that's right. Image always used computer color. Okay, Marcus is my fact checker. Marcus Snopes Kellergrew. I'm lucky to get advanced information on heroic tales and future stories. Many ideas are based on 40 years of John's gaming world. These stories will be amazing. So thank you. James, again, Jimmy is one of my. Jimmy and I have been friends since third grade. My wife is always a little jealous and a little amazed that I'm friends with people from so long. My friend Michael DeShaunis was literally born next door to me. We're still friends, and he had a comic that just came out on Kickstarter, Marshall Strong, and Jimmy and I have been friends since third grade. Jimmy, once in a blue moon, will run a game of Villains Vigilantes where I get to be a supervillain, and it is fun. And you better believe my character, the heavy hitter, will show up in an issue, and you will see he is just an asshole. It's so funny because we used to play in a 1-bedroom apartment, so my wife had no choice but to listen to the story. Jimmy leaves, goes out the door, we're cleaning up the dishes, and she goes, your character is an asshole. To me, that was worth the experience points bonus. That was a reward. I like role playing too. Just Jimmy and I both like role playing. In an early Image, that's when you saw color separations by, yes, it was digital colors. Matt Barr, fight. Yep. He likes to fight. I used to be that bad, and again, to each their own. I just find pick your battles. Sometimes it's just not worth it. But I as Nick was beating around the bush earlier today. I don't have as strong moral convictions as Matt Bauer. Thing I like about Matt is I never have to guess where I stand. Absolutely. 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 If Rock'em Sock'em Robots made a comment, they could put Matt's head on one and Liam Gray's head on the other. I'm going to say something controversial and then never mention it again. Congratulations on Liam for having Dino King hit 30K. Excellent. Doesn't take anything away from me. I'm rooting for everybody making a comic book to be successful. I sincerely mean that. That's not snarky. That's not, somebody tried to lure me into a fight by saying, do you think X's comic is going to be good? The comic isn't out yet. And I said, I hope it's good. Why would I want there to be a bad comic? Just because I don't particularly like X doesn't mean I want their comic to be bad. Okay? So good for Liam. The thing that I don't like is he's posting pictures of himself buying stuff. That money isn't his yet. My comic did $4,000. I got to pay it. I got that money in a separate account for Heroic Tales that I do not touch. That's not my money. As far as I'm concerned, that's your money because you paid for the comics and you didn't get it yet. I don't have right to spend that money yet because you didn't get the product that you paid for. So I live in fear of me like sleep buying and spending that money. So I set up a checking account for Heroic Tales. That money sits there calling me, spend me. It's like the One Ring, spend me $4,000, buy something. But then I got to produce the comic. So I still have to pay for printing. I still have to pay for lettering and I still have to pay for shipping. Okay. So I'm terrified of spending that money. I think putting pictures of yourself buying stuff before the customers get the comics is a huge red flag. And that's all I'm going to say about that. What is the symbol? What's that hand gesture that croupiers do? There you go. That's all I'm going to say about that. The color e-reader I got kind of looks like newsprint. The screen has only 40,096 colors. Oh, cool. Rini put her comic Fiendish, which I think is a wonderful comic. I absolutely love it. She's putting it on a new website that allows you to e-read it, and she was raving that it you could put up your links to send you. That's something I will be exploring in the future. Because let's face it, the future is kids reading on their tablets. Yeah, that was great. I'm glad Ethan was there. Yeah, again. No snark, not a word of sarcasm. I want everybody to have successful comics. So you know what I mean? I just think that it's just bad to show yourself spending that money. It's not good. Liam the Larrikin. I don't know what that means, but okay. I don't think that was the comic money. Either yes said it was someone sending him money after paying for the ours. Okay. Again, maybe I spoke and I didn't know all the details. Okay. All right. Marcus is always correct. So, hey, it's the Odd Fellowship of Oddball. It's Courtney's odd. It's this guy. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Hi, Courtney. Fiendish is awesome. Was that two? Yes. This was this week's Comicsgate Comics. Here is I just love this little stuff that she puts in. This is Fiendish 2.5. Oh, where's the number? 2.5. I didn't even open it yet. It's funny. I took it out of the bag. I set it on this easel. I went to read it. I think I got it Thursday. And between family obligations and spending time yesterday with my wife all day and then spending all day on the phone with Luke, I haven't gotten a chance to read comics. This is the comics that I read since the last time I did my what you're reading. So I will be making a video for this one. I'm going to a comics convention. I'm going to go to Cradle Con in Nassau County. Where am I? Oh, wow. A lot of comments. Thank you. I love when there's comments, guys. Thank you so much. Yep. First thing after getting the money is to pay for printing and distribute. Rainey does wonderful work. I want to have RJ handle. RJ from Critical Blast. Yes, I had RJ from Critical Blast as opposed to RJ from the Fourth Age. I had RJ from Critical Blast on my channel. I was, grilling him about fulfillment. Obviously, I haven't done it yet. I'm terrified of it. To me, that is the work portion of the comic. Writing the comic, seeing the art come in, talking about the story, that's all fun. The fulfillment and mailing stuff and dealing with the post office, that to me is going to be a challenge that I accept. And I made up an arbitrary number in my head that if I hit that number, I will be using Critical Blast services. So far, I did not hit that number. I think I could do the fulfillment myself. And part of me thinks that no matter how successful or unsuccessful my comic may or may not be, that I should do everything for my first campaign on myself just to establish a baseline. I don't know. Ask me again tomorrow, and I could change my mind. I hope I am successful enough that I need Critical Blast. I love when everybody talks to each other. I'm not always correct, but thanks. I'm not a guy, John. Well, I know. It's funny because when you work construction, you call everybody guy, man or woman. It's just something I apologize if I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to. Okay, you're laughing. Good. I'm not here to hurt everybody's feelings. Really not. Just Nick's. Hey, Courtney. Oh, I hope mine is in the mail. Oh, Fiendish. As I thought you were talking about my comic. Nobody's is in the mail yet. It's still getting. It's just about to get let. Renzo is working on the last page. He said he was going to send it to me last night, so he's working on the last page. Odin. I was just going to question. Okay, I got my copy of two. Yep. I can't wait. I love Fiendish. I'm still waiting for Fiendish. Well, I just got it here in New York Thursday or Friday. I forget. And then don't forget, Heroic Tales #1. It's on Fund My Comic right now. I can't wait. I can't wait to get my detractors telling me how terrible it is. That's gonna be fun because it's gonna happen. Yeah, I heard Shadowhawk. Where are we? We got a, what is that? Oh, a little face. Okay, I couldn't see it. RJ is the best, straight up, no BS. That goes for both RJs. RJ from Critical Blast and RJ from the Fourth Age. Critical Blast is greater than Ripper's End. Well, has anybody used Ripper's End? Does anybody? I mean, I'm trying to be objective and I fail a lot, so I don't know. But Critical Blast, I have seen positive results by so many people, so I could objectively say Critical Blast is a wonderful service. Ripper's End, has anybody used it? I don't know yet. Has it been tried yet? I don't know. So I can't say either way. And I'm not going to bash because it's popular to bash. I'm trying to remove emotion from things like this. Hey, Heather Antos is going to be at CradleCon. This is your. Oh my God! Really? Oh, I got to sneak a video. Oh my God. Should I go and get a penguin of the patriarch? Oh my God. Oh my God. I got to do that. A patriarch penguin. So I'm all caught up. I've been talking for an hour and a half and I finished Conan. So what do you think? What do you think about Conan? I'm real sorry about my computer dying. It just shows that I got to get a new computer sooner rather than later. I'm amazed it didn't die again. I don't know if I hit something. I don't know if my foot hit the switch. What is a patriarch penguin? Well, that is a good question. The patriarch is that guy. Oh, I thought it would show up. It's that guy. Okay, that is the character for my comic book. He is the patriarch. For Heroic Tales, he is the flagship character of Heroic Tales. He's a everything Heather Antos hates. He's a patriotic American. He's a straight white male. He's religious, and this is actually the first drawing. So his costume actually changed from this, as you could see it in the comic. This was Renzo's test picture. And he's a loving father. He's a devoted husband, and he's a superhero. He homeschools his kids, you know. So that would be good. So Heather Antos has been drawing penguins. That's like her thing. At conventions, she's an editor. Why would you go to a convention to meet an editor? So she draws penguins for commissions. So I think that would be funny to show her this picture and have her draw a penguin patriarch. Patriarch is the name of my character. Had to dip out, but come. Thank you, Zarkat. Thank you, Zarkat. Now, how do I clear this? Okay, there you go. So it's time to grab something to eat and off to hang out with Heather Antos and Larry Hama and Wendy Peeney at CradleCon. Anybody live out here? Jimmy, you want to come with me? Go for a ride to a comic convention? All right. Any last questions? Any last comments? Any last concerns? As always, I'll stay as long as we're talking. I'll stay live. Thug is full of raptor penguins. I hope she does not think it is. Oh, CradleCon guests. Here you go. Marcus is always Johnny on the spot. Check out Ryan's based mini PCs. I just got one for 400. They are great for streaming. Oh, Ryzen's based mini PCs. Oh, okay. I thought Ryan was one of the guys who comes in here often. Cool. Much love. Yes, much love, Courtney. Thank you for popping in. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So looks like that's it. I can't believe we got 60 people. As always, I used to say this was my favorite thing, but I love talking with Kelsey, doing Two Beards, One Comic. We're gonna try for next weekend and try to finish up Warlock, and then give him time to read Secret Wars and do that. That is what everybody picked. But this is one of my favorite things. This is what I imagine my channel to be, talking about comics with other people in the comments, asking questions, telling stories, clearing up my noggin full of misinformation, and just chatting about comics. This is what it's about. It's about comics. I was about to say something bad, but I won't say it. But I think we're we need to refocus on comics. That's it. It's about comics. People that I don't like can make wonderful comics. It's a fact. Mark Waid made some wonderful comics. Dan Slott made some wonderful comics. So I try to focus on the comics. I don't know. Now I can pontificate, turn this into church. But what do you want me to say? All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm going to go get some food and then go drive to CradleCon. All right. Bye-bye.